Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Got a little video I'm going to do for you today. This is huge news right here, and it just came out last week. I got a Facebook post on it, and I'm just going to start right there. It's a short read here. It says, huge news. A witness who is asked to remain anonymous told me that she knows who was shot in the ankle with the shotgun 11 days before me. After I proved that my x-rays were faked, I suspected it was his foot in the faked x-rays, and since he was missing his heel bone, they took me into surgery and cut mine out, which left me crippled for life. Okay. I hope this information leads to the rest of those doctors that the ex-wife told me were killing people for profit. It makes sense. They were the ones involved in the premeditated murder attempt on my life, which left me crippled. And then I had this Facebook post here. This is called a radiological consultation, okay? And you can see the date on it there is in April 12th, 2012. Keep in mind, I was ambushed and shot on January 12th, 2012, so 3 months earlier. And the doctor here signed is Dr. Thomas Hinton, okay, and he signed that on April 12th. And he's saying here on his consultation, I had went and got x-rays, and he was the radiologist, and he said he compared my x-rays from the injury date on 1/17/12 to other ones I'd taken on 1/19/12, and he gives this, multiple metallic fragments, etc., etc., etc. The whole problem is I was shot 11 days later on 1/28/12. That's led me to believe that obviously he wasn't looking at my x-rays. He was looking at the x-rays of somebody else, and somebody else was shot 11 days before me. And that was the whole part, that's why I put that header on there. Who was shot on January 17th, 2012? That's a big deal, because I believe what happened was they used that guy's x-rays, put my name on them, and on the night that I was shot. This was done because he was shot with a shotgun when I hadn't been, but they were trying to say I was. And then the reason that was done is because this was a premeditated capital attempted murder. Nobody accidentally breaks in a home, accidentally cuts the phone lines, and accidentally shoots homeowner by surprise. I mean, that's 100% cold-blooded murder. That's what that is. This was a failed murder, and they were trying to call it an accident, saying I shot myself. And by doing that, well, they knew I had a shotgun, so they were trying to say I shot myself with my own shotgun, and that was a lie. I now believe I shot with a handgun. There wasn't enough physical room for me to be shot with a shotgun anyway. And so, I believe I shot with a handgun loaded with a 45 handgun loaded with the Glazier safety slug, a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun. So anyways, this long time is who is this guy? And that's what this huge news is about. This woman told me she knows who that person is, okay? I sent this message to her. She wanted to meet me. She was afraid to talk on the phone and on Facebook, and she was writing messages and then deleting them, okay, off of Facebook. And of course, I know, because I'm an IT guy, that can be easily undeleted. They're still stored on the Facebook servers. My attorney could subpoena them. Law enforcement could subpoena. She said it. There's no reason to deny. If you're holding evidence on capital crimes, which this is capital crime, then you don't withhold that evidence. And she didn't know she was withholding the evidence until here I'm talking to her, and then she realizes, wow, I know who was shot 11 days before you. Okay. So anyway, this is a private message that I sent to the person who told me that this morning. I said I posted this on my Facebook this morning, and I wanted to show you that I've kept you anonymous like I said that I would. But I hope that you understand this can't remain secret from law enforcement since it's evidence in capital crimes. I suggest you go to law enforcement and tell them what you told me, and I'll do the same thing. I know they can undelete the messages that you sent me, but I think it's better if you just told them. A witness who is asked to remain, and this was the message I read to you a minute ago, was posted on my Facebook. But here's a screenshot. That was the private messages, and I want to show you there. She was writing and unwriting, unsent a message, unsent a message, unsent a message. And she was telling me, she literally told me, she said, I'm your needle in a haystack. She knew the doctors, she knew the patient that was shot 11 days before me, and she was kind and nice. She's wanting to meet me me in person. I'm always concerned about meeting people because I've had so many death threats and I don't trust anybody, and so it's a very valid concern there. But when I tried to get back with her, then she seems to be ignoring me, and I'm like, just because you undeleted that message don't think that message ain't stored on Facebook servers. And the whole point is, I believe she's telling the truth. I believed it before she told me she knew, and then we could go get them messages and undelete them, and then somebody at the hospital needs to fess up. Law enforcement needs to take action when we have doctors that are faking x-rays. That's a big deal, okay? Especially when it's concerned in capital crimes, breaking into private homes and murdering innocent people. Okay, I made this video a few days ago, and the above witness was watching it while we were chatting. This is when she told me, "I'm your needle in the haystack." She knew these doctors, and she knew who the person was that shot 11 days before me, but she also didn't want to lose her job, and I don't want to see that happen either. See, I don't wish anything bad on her, and I know these are dangerous criminals. They are, and I know we have a police corruption problem. There was 11 secret police, caught on camera at my house. I had to pay to get identified. We now know that police were under my home on the night that somebody under my home tried to murder me. It might have been police that tried to murder me, and if that's the case, they might have murdered the guy that lived here before me. I believed he was murdered too. And then there's the little girl at the whole show party, believed to hell in the backyard, that was murdered. Angie told me about in 2010. I'm understanding that for witnesses to come forward, how scary it is. But anyway, that video is "I'm waiting and they're mutilating," and basically what it's saying is I was showing that I sent this information and evidence to the Texas Medical Board. They're supposed to act on it to protect the public, but they told me to be patient. We're sending an investigative commission or whatever, and be patient. That was in 2015. I've never heard back from them, and that's the same thing that's gone on with the press and with the police and the Texas Rangers and the FBI and DHS and everybody else in the world. There's so much corruption here covering up these murders, these home invasion murders. It's amazing what's happening with all this evidence that's posted in the public. Underneath that, just for a reminder, I posted some of the evidence that's in that video. This was my first proof that they were faking my x-rays. And I went to this podiatrist named Dr. Glass. He's no longer alive. We took these x-rays on an old style machine. He puts it on the light box. I put in a printed copy over here of x-ray I had taken before the murder attempt, and then I was comparing the two, okay, because we supposedly had just taken that. And what I noticed was a missing broken toe bone that had happened just right before I was shot isn't in the x-rays he put on the board and was saying was mine. And I'm going, look here, here it is. I'm showing him my x-ray, and you could see the break, man, was real clear. There's a real obvious break there. But in this one, and in bone breaks, you'll see them forever. 1,000 years later, they dig up your bones and going, oh, buddy broke his bone there. Yep, that's a buddy broke his bone. That's what happened. And here, this is just a few months later, and so I questioned that doctor on it, Dr. Glass, about it, and he started stuttering. It was the biggest busted I ever seen in my life. And he's shaking, and he's, oh, you can see the break right here. And then he's pointing in the wrong direction. Making it up, lying. That was my first proof that they faked my x-rays, okay? And then my second proof was here is when out the night, I noticed on the x-rays for the night of the murder attempt that the heel bone was missing in the foot. It has my name on it, okay? And then you see that all the pellets in there, and then the heel bone's missing. Well, I put this x-ray in here, that's when I broke my toe, and I got these pictures, and you can see how big my heel bone is. And see how the heel bone's gone? It's 100% gone, okay? And what I'm saying here is my heel bone wasn't shot off, but it's missing before surgery. That's not my foot. That's the foot of somebody else. They put my name on it. That's what happened there. Is they put my name on on this somebody else's x-ray. So that was my second proof, is that the heel bone was missing before surgery. Then they took me into surgery and cut my heel bone out to make it look like the faked x-rays. I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and dismembered to cover up this failed murder that was going to make the sister-in-law of the ER doctor rich, But the most important thing is the underground home in the backyard. Okay, and then my third proof was on the medical records themselves, And I'm showing here the ER doctor who come to find out was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife, and she's the one that had told me the secret is a group of doctors killing people for profit, right? I'm seeing he orders 3 x-rays and a secret lab tape named user in interface canceled his order and ordered 2 x-rays. I've never been able to get user in interface identified. They've been secret. I even went to the hospital and they wouldn't tell me who that is. But what I noticed was that the timestamps on the x-rays, 11:27, was 10 minutes before they were ordered right here. They were ordered 11:37, and here they were working on them 10 minutes before the doctor even ordered x-rays. No wonder user in interface had canceled the doctor's orders. The whole key is it's obvious user in interface faked my x-rays. We just don't know who user in interface is, okay? And so here I'm showing, here's the operating room staff, okay? Well, obviously somebody in the operating room knows something about, saw something, right? And I blanked out the surgeon. I haven't left that name. And this person I'm talking to, she wanted to know who the surgeon is, and she finally figured it out, on her own. And I think maybe why, because she saw Carlos Morales. He was the assistant, and he is the assistant to that surgeon, And then these other people that are in there. And she tells me that this Dr. Carter, the anesthesiologist, died in 2016. I'm like, really? Wow. And she's even saying, I wonder how many other people died, And I'm like, I wonder how many other people died too. I wonder how many of them are alive. This was the first surgery, this second surgery. I suspect the first surgery is when they cut out my heel bone and, to make it look like the fake x-rays. They're trying to, and this isn't, accidental malpractice or any of that. As far as I'm concerned, this was intentional, on purpose, mutilation, maiming. It's done to cover up a home invasion, premeditated, capital attempted murder. This is accessory to capital attempted murder, So these people or these witnesses, if you got information on a capital crime, That's a big deal. Murder's a big crime, okay? And so I just want to show you the names there of the people that were in the operating room when they took out my heel bone. And here's the second surgery. Second surgery is when they were trying to cut off my leg, and I wouldn't agree to it. I later found this explanation of benefits from the insurance company, and I saw where Dr. Hinton charged the insurance company for x-rays on the night that I'm shot, on 1/28/12. Well, Dr. Hinton's name wasn't on the ER record, but that made me wonder if he wasn't user in interface, and that's who is believed to have faked x-rays. And I want to keep you in mind, this radiological report from a few months later was Dr. Hinton, okay? But, and so that was interesting. I also figured out that I think Dr. Hinton was in the same office, shared offices with the ER doctor, my brother-in-law, I didn't know about, okay? And then my next one here, and I went over this was the multiple amputation request that I found. I was in the hospital 10 days, and, almost every day they were coming in here trying to talk me into allowing them to amputate. That's what they wanted to do on that second surgery, was cut off the evidence. They wanted to cut off my leg. They didn't want anybody to see what they'd done to me. And I think the main thing, they also didn't want, my foot was evidence that I wasn't shot with my gun. And if I ain't shot with my gun, that means somebody came to my home and shot me. That makes this a capital attempted murder. That means we got some cold-blooded killers walking around, sneaking under homes, killing people, and we know that police were under my home. Now, this is a scary, scary deal. This can't be swept under the rug, and Buddy go limp off living in danger and in fear of his life for the rest of his life. This has to be solved, Here's from the court case in December 18, 2013, and I'm testifying under oath. And I said the ex-wife, she told me, she said there's a group of doctors that are killing people for profit. What she didn't tell me the entire time we was married, that her brother-in-law was a doctor. Okay, that's how but amazingly, I found out from her that it was after I was shot. She seemed like she seemed upset, like they shot me, and she come over to my house and she seemed to upset, and that's when she told me her brother-in-law was my doctor. I wouldn't have known that otherwise. And she also hinted that my medical records were faked, and they were. That's why I went and got them, and I looked, and sure enough, I found all this proof. Yeah, they were fake, but it was the ex-wife that ended. So I believe the ex-wife has knowledge, has information on these crimes too. Okay. And I also want to say, not only did I testify in court, I told the FBI, I told the Texas Rangers, I told the sheriff, told DHS, I tell everybody. I posted it on Facebook. I told everybody. I believe the biggest crimes, these doctors are killing people for profit. She whispered in my ear. I said, and the big deal is, she didn't say they're just killing Buddy. They're killing people. They're killing man, woman, and child for profit. And these are rich, wealthy, smart people, and here's Jeffrey Strain. How would Dr. Kill money? And that's when I said, ask the ex-wife who told me. I gave you proof that, of her admitting to trying to extort money over me at this house. She told me, if I didn't pay her money, she gonna tell everybody I was crazy, and that's on a video called Follow the Money. And and then the last one here's the whole reason why. The whole reason why is the $1 million underground homes where they were having the oil show parties, where they murdered that little girl in 2010. And then don't forget, the last owner of my home dies the week before the 2008 oil show started, and then I'm shot by somebody under my home. Police are under my home. That's what them doctors are trying to cover up. I think them doctors are connected with with this organized crime and this racketeering. This is Buddy Webb. This is big news, and so you were hoping, and everybody pray this woman does the right thing. I suggested that she go to law enforcement. She tell them what she knows, and because this concerns the safety of the public. Them doctors do this to me, they'll do it to anybody. They're making money right and left off this. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.